Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Design Underworld Fridays by Design Tales, the show where we dig deep into the intersections of tech, ethics, and design, with the good, bad, and controversial sides of it all. Today's topic is, well, one that definitely stirs the pot. We're talking about the Google controversy that led to the firing of two of their top AI ethicists, Dr. Timnit Gebru and Dr. Margaret Mitchell. So picture this. Two brilliant minds, a topic so hot it could fry your circuits, and one of the biggest tech companies in the world caught in the middle of it all. Yep, Google, the very place known for its motto, "Don't be evil," has come under fire for what many see as, well, something on the spectrum of evil. So, grab your headphones, whether you're on your commute, hitting the treadmill, or just dealing with the most boring of tasks. We're diving into the Google AI ethics scandal, breaking down what happened, what Gebru and Mitchell found, why it matters, and what we as designers, creators, and users can actually do about it. Alright, let's back up for a second. Who are Dr. Timnit Gebru and Dr. Margaret Mitchell? Well, Timnit Gebru is one of the leading voices in AI ethics and co-authored an iconic study on racial bias in facial recognition. Seriously, she's not just smart, she's pioneering in showing how algorithms can be discriminatory, even if they're, well, machines. Margaret Mitchell was a Google researcher focused on fairness in machine learning. Together, these two were tackling big questions like, how can AI be used ethically? And who does it harm when we just let it loose? So, fast forward to 2020. Timnit Gebru co-authors a paper that raises some red flags on how AI models, especially large language models, can reflect and even amplify existing biases. She says, hey, let's maybe think twice about rolling these models out into the world without more scrutiny, which isn't crazy, right? It's responsible. But Google wasn't thrilled, to put it mildly. They requested she retract the paper. Gebru stood her ground, and the next thing we knew, she was either fired or resigned, depending on who you ask. Then, just when things seemed to be cooling down, Margaret Mitchell, Gebru's colleague and advocate, faced the same fate. Google investigated her use of internal documents she was using to defend Gebru, by the way. And poof, she was gone too. This sparked outrage, with Google employees, AI researchers, and the tech world questioning what was going on at one of the most powerful companies on Earth. Cue the media storm. So, why all the backlash? Because both Gebru and Mitchell weren't just any employees, they were leading voices questioning the ethical implications of the very AI systems that Google and other big tech companies are developing. Google has always branded itself as a company that cares about ethics, right? But firing two of your top ethics researchers for doing ethics research? It doesn't exactly scream trustworthy. Many people saw this as a move to silence voices that were critical of Google's approach to AI and big data. And that's the crux here. If the people calling out ethical risks get shut down, then what happens to the rest of us who don't have insider knowledge? The main controversy isn't just about firing two researchers. It's about how companies with massive influence over AI and machine learning, Google, Facebook, Amazon, can steamroll ethical concerns if those concerns stand in the way of profit. Because, let's face it, they're not developing AI out of the goodness of their hearts. AI is big business, and that can mean rushing tech out the door before we're sure it's safe, unbiased, or ethically sound. Let's get into what they were actually researching. In short, both Gebru and Mitchell raised some serious questions about bias in AI systems. They worked on studies that showed AI could be skewed against certain groups, like women and people of color. You know, everything from facial recognition that's more accurate for lighter skin tones to biased language models that reinforce harmful stereotypes. They also warned about the environmental impact of training these huge AI models, like AI is cool, but it's not exactly eco-friendly. Think about data centers guzzling electricity. The researchers essentially said, hey Google, maybe we should slow down a bit and think about these side effects. And, well, Google didn't seem too thrilled with that. There were also other potential biases that concerned these ethicists. For starters, they highlighted how large language models, like the ones Google uses in products like Search, can embed all sorts of biases. These models are trained on giant datasets pulled from the internet. And we all know, the internet is not exactly a utopia of equality and fairness, right? Imagine you have an AI model that reads all the content from every corner of the web. If people online have a bias, say, associating certain jobs more with men than women or perpetuating harmful stereotypes, the AI picks it up. Think about it, whether it's blogs, social media posts, news articles, it's all in there. And this data? Well, it's littered with human biases, sexism, racism, you name it. These biases can end up in systems that, say, filter job applications or determine medical priorities. Now imagine that power in the hands of, say, a hiring manager or a court system. You see the potential problems. Gebru's team was concerned that these biases were not only slipping into the models but might even be magnifying them, especially as the models got bigger and more complex. So Gebru co-authored a paper on these risks. This paper wasn't just a, hey, by the way, watch out for this kind of research. No, it was more of a, these are very real, serious issues that we need to address if we don't want our AI tools to become bias-spreading machines type of paper. But here's where it got thorny. Gebru wanted to publish this paper, and Google was less than thrilled. They allegedly claimed it didn't meet internal standards, although many suspect they were more concerned about the potential PR nightmare. A paper from Google's own AI team saying, our tech might be biased and damaging to the environment. Yeah, not exactly something they want to splash across the headlines. Dr. Gebru pushed back and suddenly, she was out of a job. Google said it was a resignation. Dr. Gebru said it was more of a you're no longer welcome situation. However you spin it, it was a very public, very dramatic exit. After Gebru's firing, Dr. Margaret Mitchell didn't stay quiet. She, too, had been vocal about AI ethics, and she'd been working on similar research into biases and accountability. She was searching through her company emails to find evidence of discrimination against Gebru, trying to prove that something seriously wrong had taken place. When Google found out, they locked her out of her account and eventually fired her as well. Okay, so what does this mean for regular people? The fact is, AI is being used in tons of things we use every day, from social media feeds to job application filters. If there's unchecked bias in these systems, it can amplify discrimination in ways we don't even see. If AI is flawed and discriminatory, and if tech companies aren't addressing it, we're the ones who deal with the consequences. Marginalized groups often get the brunt of it, with some people facing rejection from jobs, higher loan rates, or even being flagged by law enforcement, all because of unchecked bias in the tech. Now, why does this matter? Because if companies aren't open to their own experts pointing out potential flaws, who's left to hold these powerful technologies accountable? These are the tools shaping everything from hiring practices to criminal justice decisions. And if Google, one of the biggest names in tech, is limiting what its own ethical AI team can say, that sets a dangerous precedent. So, what does this mean for designers? As designers, you might be thinking, but I'm not building AI. True, but we're creating experiences that can help highlight, filter, and humanize the way AI is applied. Designers, researchers, and developers need to work together to make sure that ethical considerations are front and center. And how do we do that? Start by advocating for transparency in the design process. Ask questions about where the data comes from, who's represented, and how biases are addressed. For instance, if you're designing an app that uses any kind of AI, from chatbots to recommendation systems, get curious about the algorithms powering it. If we're working with AI that might have baked in biases, it's crucial for us to think about inclusive design principles, transparency, and how to give users a fair, bias-free experience. What datasets are they based on? Who's benefiting from the way it's set up? Who's going to be impacted by its decisions? What's the worst-case scenario here? Sometimes it's as simple as asking tough questions. You might not be an ethics researcher, but by pushing for answers and raising questions, you play a role in shaping more responsible tech. So, where does this leave us? The firing of Gebru and Mitchell isn't just a Google story. It's a cautionary tale about the power dynamics in tech and what happens when ethics clash with profits. Companies like Google have the ability to shape our digital landscape for good or bad, but without pushback, the risks grow. If you're listening to this and feeling fired up, take action. Get involved in the ethics conversations happening in your own circles, in your company, or online. Start small by reading up on topics like bias in machine learning, and if you're a designer, Build habits around ethical questioning in your work. Be the one who raises their hand and says, "Is this the right thing to do?" You'd be surprised how much impact that can have. And if you want to dive deeper into topics like this, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and join us next time on Design Underworld Fridays, where we explore more of the hidden and sometimes controversial sides of the tech we interact with daily. Until next time, keep questioning, keep designing with care, and stay curious. Catch you later.